In a possible sign from above, lightning has struck the Vatican just hours after Pope Benedict XVI announced his surprising resignation. Footage shot shows the top of St. Peter's Basilica being struck by lightning during a thunderstorm over the Vatican. The resignation has caused a stir around the world, and now it seems that nature itself has something to say about it. Pope Benedict XVI is the first pope to resign in over 700 years.
I don't claim that our personalities pass on to another existence. I don't claim anything because I don't know anything. For that matter, no human being knows. But I do claim that it is possible to construct an apparatus which will be so delicate that if there are personalities in another existence who wish to get in touch with us, this apparatus would at least give them a better opportunity.
When you die, do you go to heaven or hell? Hell. Are you in hell right now? No. Am I going to heaven or hell?
Listen,
Okay, I'm listening.
be grateful.
Be grateful. Okay.
It's, yeah. Earned it.
What should I be grateful for? God. Did you know how clear that was? Wow. That gave me goosebumps. Oh my God. Be grateful for God. God is coming. Did you hear that? Be grateful for God. God is coming. Did you hear that?
Hello, this is Steve, and I wanted to make a quick video for you guys about how to use a ghost box and my favorite ghost boxes. As you may know from reading my videos, I've been a lifelong skeptic. I never believed in ghosts, never believed in spirits, never believed you could see a ghost, hear a ghost, talk to a ghost. I still don't know if what I'm conversing with are ghosts, because we can't automatically assume that these are dead people. There's so much to think about that goes so many layers deep. But one thing I do know is that I have been communicating with something intelligent, and it's not living humans as we know them. So whether they're ghosts, spirits, I really don't know, but they're intelligent. I've started out using a ghost box because I was browsing YouTube one day and I saw somebody's ghost box video and I said, oh, that's a bunch of baloney. That's not real. So I ordered this PSB7 just so I can prove. My plan was to use this and prove that it was fake, that we were just hearing radio stations and DJs. But when I started using it, I was blown away and I could not believe actually what I was hearing. Names started coming through, voices that could not have possibly been DJs. I didn't get snippets of music. I got words, I got names, I got replies to my questions. When you turn this PSB7 on, which it's now high in demand, when I bought it 2 months ago, Amazon always had these in stock. So I bought it and you turn it on with this button. This is actually my second favorite ghost box. It used to be my favorite. I always set the scan rate on 250 milliseconds. I've tested them all. And I scan in reverse, no really particular reason. And what you hear is kind of a bunch of fuzz. But if you start asking questions, it's possible you're going to get some intelligent reply. Maybe not. But the more you do it, the more you use it, the more that will come through. The first week I did this, I noticed I was getting one-word replies, one-word names. And then as time went on, I started getting sentences. And then I started getting phrases over the radio, which sounded to me like EVPs. So then I went and I bought, by the way, this is the PSB7. It's made to be a ghost box. It's between $60 and $80 if you can find them in stock. They're backordered everywhere. Very lightweight, very cheap. Feels like it costs $10 to make it, but it's effective. It does the job. It works. It's very fuzzy though. It's hard to listen to. One thing, if you're going to try this, don't just take the radio and listen to it. You must record it. I am telling you, if you don't record it, you're going to miss out on so many things. Ghost box I picked up is a Sangean DT200. I saw it on Amazon and saw that you could hack it. I found a website that teaches you how to hack it. It takes 5 minutes. You bend the pin back, you put it back together, and then you have the capability to scan. This is actually my favorite ghost box, and I'll tell you why. The reason this is my favorite ghost box is because this is the one that started getting me the EVPs and the full sentences over the radio. I get some pretty complex things coming through this and their responses. And a lot of times it's 3 or 4 voices linked together. And I found that a lot on this. I have had so many long sentences come in through this box. So it'll scan. I always use FM. People will tell you to use AM on the Sangean. It's a waste of time. Use FM. I'm telling you. I get the best results with this radio on FM. Right here. DD200 was always out of stock, so I bought the 400 to see if I could hack it. I bought this for my son because he started getting into it. And it's a little different. The antenna's not as strong on the 400. And at first, we thought that was bad. But actually, it's good because you get a lot of white noise, and sometimes EVPs will come through over this. Basically, you want to turn it on, start scanning, and just ask questions. So you basically ask the questions, you record your session. When I sit down to do a session, I announce 10 minutes beforehand that I'm going to do a session. I set everything up in my kitchen usually, and when I turn it on, whoever I'm conversing with knows that I'm ready. Next one, my son bought off of eBay, which is the original Hack Shack or Shack Hack, whatever they call it. And this was the original radio, I believe, that started it all, besides the Frank's box, of course. So this one scans slow. Hello, hello. Does anyone want to say anything? My favorite is the Sangean DT200. You can buy these on Amazon for about $40. It takes 5 minutes to hack it. And if you use it every day, I'm telling you, and you record your sessions, you will start getting activity. Now, me, it got to the point where I was doing it for 6 weeks. Then I started getting EVPs without the use of any ghost box. And I mean clear whisper EVPs. If you subscribe or look at my other videos, you will see many of them. Death Will Get You was one of them. It was the first one that came in really loud and clear. Why Don't We Play was another one I got. Tell Us When was just the other day. I get them all the time now.
I had a conversation yesterday with somebody, Melissa from True Stream Media, and she sent me a chart, and I thought it was really odd that the chart was sigils. Here follows a list of several demons and their sigils of summoning. So this is how the seriously misguided people protect themselves in their minds and try to get hold of what they probably think are angels or dark forces. I don't know. But if you look down right here, LM, and see the sign right there, well, it's frighteningly close to the CERN symbol. Now I'm going to show you what a relay is, and then I'm going to show you how it ties into this. It's really strange. Now, this is a relay that I took out of my truck. So check this out. That's what it looks like. That's the inside of a switching relay for an automotive to make electricity travel in the appropriate fashion at the appropriate appointed time when you flip the switch, something to that effect, so forth and so on. Just look at this and then look at these diagrams. Do you see this right here? Look at these diagrams. Look at these different sigils. These are allegedly the symbols for each individual named deity. Do you see all of these? If you look at these look exactly like the workings of the inside of a relay. As soon as I saw them, like this one specifically reminded me of that. And for instance, this is a wiring diagram. Here's the switch inside the vehicle. These are the lights on the outside of the vehicle. This is the relay, the thing that I just showed you that I blew. Now, why am I saying any of this? Whatever it is you want to call them. LM is the Lord of Attrition. And that's the symbolism that CERN's using. If you look at these, it's the same thing as these. Do you see all these little symbols, all these little diagrams that they use when they're making electricity? Now think about it. Think about it. I know this is a tough one. You're really gonna have to wrap your mind around it, and I can't quite find the quickest, easiest way to explain this. But when you look at this stuff right here for electricity, it all looks the same as the symbolisms for summoning a demon. It just does. Now think about it. we've been taught about Benjamin Franklin finding electricity, so forth and so on. He went outside during an electrical storm. Well, this is what I stumbled across while I was looking at these sigils. It made me go back and think of the story that we were all taught when we were in school, how Benjamin Franklin went outside with a certain key shaped exactly like a sigil during an electrical storm. Now, the more you look into these symbols, which are supposed to be represented here by their appropriate deity that's attached to them, none of these are very friendly guys. But in the story, it tells you to go look at specific they're calling these, in black magic or witchcraft or whatever you want to call them, they're calling these things circuits. And it makes me wonder why they're spraying the atmosphere with something that would be incredibly easy for electricity to travel through. They're filling it with heavy metals in the entire atmosphere, as well as plasma, which may be one and the same. I don't really know, because who knows what's really going on up there? Anybody that says they do doesn't, because we're all just guessing. But these are all the sigils, and when I look at them, all I'm seeing is a wiring diagram, a blueprint. And now you think about all the television shows that show electricity, something evil traveling through the electricity and coming out and attacking everybody and taking over and so forth. And think about this. As far as we know, we are the only civilization that has built themselves a reverse Faraday cage. But we, as a species, are the first ever to, not only are we living on an earth that is surrounded, covered with telephone poles, electricity, all this stuff, when they damn well knew when they put these up, they didn't have to, because Tesla already showed them how to use wireless energy. They instead opted to surround us with telephone poles, power grids, electricity everywhere. And I mean everywhere. These things are absolutely everywhere. So not only when you're walking around outside are you no longer grounded to the earth in bare feet on soil, you have hot top concrete pavement, and we're surrounded by telephone poles. And then to take it one step further, when you're inside your own home, you're in your own personal anti-Faraday cage, because your walls are full of wires, your ceiling's full of wires, your floor are full of wires, they're everywhere. And now to take it even one step further, everyone's using a laptop, cell phone, or something like that runs on what? Electricity. It's digital. They're filling the atmosphere, and they're conjuring these things, and they're using the symbols necessary to do such a thing. They have literally surrounded us with a super highway for demons to travel through. How's that? How's that? Instead of being inside a protective Faraday cage, we're inside the anti-Faraday cage, and they're using things like CERN, and they're using the symbolism every place that basically shows us that they are indeed conjuring. This symbol right here is obviously CERN. I mean, really? I guess to make a long story longer, you're looking at a Faraday cage right here. The powers that be have intentionally built the exact antithesis of a Faraday cage all around us. They've given a super highway for these demons they're trying to release. I kept looking through these sigils right here. I kept coming across things like use these when electricity is at its highest. And they kept referring to the sigils as circuits. Now, when I saw that exact sigil, the first thing that came to mind is that looks exactly like the relay I just took apart last night. And turns out it is. It is identical. This all looks like electrical drawings, and I don't think that's by accident. I think electricity is going to be the conduit that they use. Think about it. Ben Franklin, a Freemason, goes outside after doing some sort of a ritual. Something tells him to put a kite in the air with a specifically shaped key on the end, skeleton key. He comes back in and figures out how to make a light bulb out of the blue. Let's think about it. Honestly question that. How would you come up with this information unless it was given to you or handed to you by things that you will constantly pay homage to for the rest of your life, in your buildings, in your signs, in your currency? You'll always have these symbols on your flag and your family crest. That's exactly what's going on. When I look at stuff like this, it all starts to make sense. They're surrounding us with electricity. The electricity will be the medium for these other dimensional beings to enter our reality in a physical form. And that's why they're spraying the sky so heavily, because the plasma, the barium, the strontium, the aluminum, the heavy metal in the atmosphere will be the conduit that allows them to come through here and literally start a hell on earth.
Have you ever wanted to communicate with the spirit world, your loved ones, or even your dear friends? Well, today my guest, Bonnie Vent, has been investigating a rather unique device called the psychophone, and she's here in the studio to tell us more about it today. I know that the viewers watching the show might be thinking, psychophone, is it something like a telephone? But it isn't. It's so old, isn't it? It's nothing like a telephone.
We think it was built in the early 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a cylinder phonograph, which is a very common device for the day.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's interesting about the psychophone from a textbook point of view is it's described as being a device that was actually used to record subliminal messages that you would play back to yourself. It has wax cylinders
Mm-hmm.
that actually record,
Mm-hmm.
and a timing device. So that a little clock that you would set, a little alarm clock. So
Mm-hmm.
you could say when you wanted it to start playing in the middle of the night,
Right.
and then it would shut itself off when it was done.
Right. Now, I believe we do have some pictures of this particular psychophone device. So we're going to pull up our first picture. And what we're actually looking at here, Bonnie, is the psychophone in the case.
Right.
Just sitting there. Just give us a little description of what we're seeing here inside the case.
And it's just channeled information. Don't tell Bill Gates, but I use my laptop and Microsoft Word.
We promise.
I'm sure that's not a feature he intended.
Okay, and picture number 3 is actually a close-up of the mechanism of the psychophone. Let me see.
I think we all know that Thomas Edison was meticulous about having a patent on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And this looks so much like a device that he would have created. So, you know, speculation, and a lot of researchers saying the same thing. This certainly looks like an Edison invention, but no one can prove it.
Mm.
And the way he explained it to me was he actually met Thomas Edison in London.
Mm-hmm.
They sat and had a conversation, because Edison, towards the end of his life, and this is documented, did have a very active interest in trying to communicate with the spirit world and creating a device that would do that.
And that's a known fact.
That's a known fact.
That's a known fact.
That, and historians would say he died before he was able to succeed with his invention.
Right.
Well, because there's no trademarks, patents, it would lead you to believe that these might be prototypes.
Right.
There was a nasty little side effect with the psychophone, because it had to generate so much electricity, to be able to do this communication,
Mm-hmm.
that it actually can throw a person across the room.
Really?
Which is something you definitely would not want to mass produce, because
Mm-hmm.
you'd have lawsuits involved.
Sure.
Now, the lady who owns the psychophone in Ohio, as soon as she brought it home, she started experiencing electrical disturbances in her house.
Wow.
Her satellite TV froze on one station. At the same time, her stereo turned on and her computer shut off, all at the exact same time.
Wow. Wow. Let's just have another look at another picture, the cylinders with the needle, a close-up of that. How does the psychophone actually work then, Bonnie?
Best we can tell, it's really a forerunner of a tape recorder, which is pretty commonly known that if you're going to record voices from the spirit world with today's technology,
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to use a tape recorder. So this is a very similar thing where people do periodically, they do pick up voices from the spirit world from tape recorders.
Right. Well, we're going to look at the last picture that we have of the broken cylinders. So we'll take a look at that picture, and whilst we do, I have a quote here from Edison that Bonnie had given to me before the show, which Edison apparently wrote himself, that if our personality survives, then it is strictly logical or scientific to assume that it retains memory, intellect, other faculties, and knowledge that we acquire on this earth. Therefore, if we can evolve an instrument so delicate as to be affected by our personality as it survives in the next life, such an instrument, when made available, ought to record something. So we have that quote there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also one of Edison's assistants, Dr. Miller Hutchinson, said, Edison and I are convinced that in the fields of psychic research will yet be discovered facts that will prove of greater significance to the thinking of the human race than all the inventions we have ever made in the field of electricity. Than all the inventions we have ever made in the field of electricity. In the field of electricity. That's interesting.
You have to remember that, you know, when we talk about spirits, we're talking about an energy body. Well, we have that same energy body. It's just our physical body falls away when we pass.
Right.
And so human beings definitely have the ability to put out that kind of energy. Actually, I consider myself to be a spirit advocate. Actually, I consider myself to be a spirit advocate. Actually, I consider myself to be a spirit advocate, because what I'm doing when I go into these houses is I try and communicate with the spirits that are there. I try and find out why they're there. There's always a reason, whatever it may be. Usually it's unfinished business of some sort. And in some cases, I've actually been able to assist that spirit on our side, which is when you get into multidimensional interaction.
We have some very interesting footage right now that we're going to show the viewers of Bonnie, and she's at the Villa Montezuma. So let's take a look.
The Villa Montezuma was the home of musician, writer, and spiritualist Jesse Shepard. Now it is said that Jesse haunts the Villa Montezuma and even channels his messages through spiritualists like Bonnie Vent.
My first encounter with Jesse Shepard was I came here Labor Day weekend of 2000, and I noticed there was a light on in a cupola. I asked the tour guide what was the story with the light being on the cupola, and he said, well, that's an interesting thing because there shouldn't be a light on in the cupola. There's no electricity out there. The circuit breaker is off, and there's no light bulb in the socket.
His talent and charisma gave him entrance to both the best parties and social gatherings.
Jesse has told me that he wants to work with me to bring more activity into the house. He would like to have music in his house again because he was a musician. He would like to have sessions in the house where people can come, and the house was built to be conducive to channeling. So they like to have people come into the house and be able to talk to loved ones that have crossed. How am I going to explain what television is? You have absolutely no frame of reference. Oh yeah, it's electrical energy and it runs through the air and you can't see it. They're going to look at you like you're a nut.
The conservatory was built as the energy source of the house and was designed to attract spirits.
There's actually antennas up on the house. They're disguised with gargoyles on them just as decoration. But they're really not decoration. They're there to draw energy in. And air pockets were specifically put into the house design to collect that energy. So there's a major air pocket room above where we are. That's about 5 feet in height, which that's where the energy is stored, and then it comes through from there.
Wow, that's an incredible house designed by Jesse Shepard, and the gargoyles are there to bring in energy.
The gargoyles and those metal plates that you saw on the roof, they feed right into the conservatory, which is an octagonal shape. And for those of us that can see the energy, you can see a column of white light that actually goes through there. There's stained glass in the house, and the glass has been preserved. And I've been told that it's because of that energy that's channeling in through there, it's actually preserving the inside of the house.
Really? Wow.
David Schweiker tried to restrict birth control, and he helped reinstate the 1864 abortion ban.
And Doug.
Whoa, Limu! We're in a parade! Everyone, customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. Customize and save!
And then I wake up.
And you have the stream every night?
Yeah, every night.
I see.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.